Hello children, welcome to my class on reproduction in animals. At the end of this chapter, you will be able to differentiate between sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. Identify the parts of male reproductive system and female reproductive system. Distinguish between internal fertilization and external fertilization. Cite examples of viviparous animals and oviparous animals. Develop skill in drawing diagrams like reproductive system, life cycle of frog, binary fission in amoeba, etc. Observe and identify various stages in the development of frog. Develop interest and enthusiasm in learning biology. Apply the gained knowledge in daily life and derive conclusion from experiences. Today I am going to discuss the topics like sexual reproduction, male reproductive system, female reproductive system, fertilization, embryonic development in human beings, oviparous and viviparous animals, metamorphosis, and asexual reproduction. You are very much familiar with this term, reproduction. You have learned about reproduction in plants last year. What is reproduction? Yes, reproduction is a process by which an organism produces offsprings that are biologically or genetically similar to the parent organism. Like in plants, in animals also, there are two modes of reproduction: asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. What is sexual reproduction? As you already know, sexual reproduction involves two sexes, that is, male sex and female sex. In higher animals, a specialized reproductive system helps in carrying out sexual reproduction. What is reproductive system? It is a group of organs which help in reproduction. Let us first examine the male reproductive system in human beings. It consists of a pair of testes, sperm ducts, and a penis. The testes produce numerous male gametes or reproductive cells called sperm. Sperms are carried through sperm ducts or sperm tubes to the urethra, which passes through the muscular penis. Sperm is a microscopic motile male reproductive cell or gamete composed of a head, middle piece and a tail. The tail helps sperms in swimming. The sperm helps in transferring the genetic material to the female body during the mating or copulation between male and female. Even though a sperm has three parts, it is not multicellular, but it is actually a unicellular structure. Moving on to female reproductive system. It consists of a pair of ovaries, oviducts or fallopian tubes, and uterus. The ovary is the female reproductive organ and it produces the female gamete or female reproductive cell called ovum or egg. The oviduct collects the ovum and passes it to the hollow muscular structure called uterus. The lower side of the uterus is called cervix. A narrow muscular passage called vagina connects the outside with uterus. Ovum or egg cell is a microscopic female reproductive cell or gamete. Each ovum is a rounded and non-motile structure. Non-motile means not moving. Egg is much larger than sperm. What is the purpose of producing sperms and ovum? Fertilization is a process of fusion of sperm and the ovum. The nucleus of the sperm fuses with the nucleus of the ovum to form a zygote, which is also called a fertilized egg. There are mainly two types of fertilization. One, internal fertilization. In animals like human beings, cat, lion, snake, birds, deer, etc., the fusion of the sperm and the ovum takes place inside the female body. This type of fertilization is called internal fertilization. Have you ever seen frogs swimming in water? When it is time for reproduction, the male frog and the female frog move to the shallow streams or ponds. When they come together, the female frog lays hundreds of eggs. These eggs are not like hen's eggs. These eggs are comparatively delicate and are protected by a very thin jelly-like envelope. Now, the male frog will come and deposit its sperms over the eggs. The sperms and ovum come together and fertilization is effected. This type of fertilization in which the fusion of sperm and ovum occurs outside the female body is called external fertilization. There are some more examples: fish, starfish, sea anemone, sea urchin, coral, etc. Have you heard of in vitro fertilization? In some women, the oviducts may be blocked. Such women cannot bear babies. At that time, the ovum will be collected and will be put in a test tube. The sperms will be collected separately and will be put in the same test tube. Now, chances are that one of the sperm fuses with the ovum and the fertilization might be affected. After fertilization, the zygote or the fertilized egg starts dividing and it becomes eight-celled. At this stage, the embryo or the multicellular structure is taken out and then introduced into the uterus of the mother. This kind of fertilization, which takes place outside the female body, that is in glass test tube, is called in vitro fertilization. Once the fertilization is effected, the fertilized egg or zygote starts moving through the oviduct towards the uterus. As it starts moving, it also starts dividing into 2, 4, 8, 16, so on. Now, at this stage, the cells of this structure will get differentiated into different tissues and different organs. This particular stage of multicellular body is called embryo. The embryo will come and get attached to the wall of the uterus. This process is called implantation. Later, the embryo starts developing into prominent structure called fetus. What is fetus? In fetus, the body parts such as ears, eyes, head, hand, legs are clearly visible. This stage where we can identify the body parts of the growing embryo is called a fetus. The fetus will develop into a mature baby, and the mature baby will be given birth by the mother, and this process is called parturition. Internal fertilization takes place in hens also, but hens do not give birth to babies. Instead, hens lay egg. How is egg produced? Soon after fertilization, the fertilized egg or zygote moves through the oviduct. As it moves through the oviduct, it starts dividing. It starts dividing into 2, 4, 8, 16 like that, and as it starts dividing, as it continues dividing, many layers are laid around it, and these layers get thickened and form a hard white shell. Once the eggshell formation is complete, the hen lays the egg. Now, the development of the embryo is still continuing inside the egg. For that, the mother hen has to sit over this egg. Now, the mother will provide enough warmth necessary for the development of the embryo, and the rest of the embryo development will continue inside the shell. Once the baby grows or the baby chick completes its growth development, it will come out of the shell. As we have seen, those animals which undergo internal fertilization and later give birth to young ones are called viviparous animals. Example, all higher animals including human beings, elephant, dog, giraffe, zebra, tiger, etc. But those animals which undergo internal fertilization and later lay eggs which hatch into young ones are called oviparous animals. Example, snakes, insects, birds, lizards, tortoise, turtle, etc. Look at the life cycle of a frog. The fertilized egg does not develop into an adult frog immediately. It undergoes certain stages and certain changes. The fertilized egg first develops into a larva. It resembles a fish. This fish-like larva is called tadpole. The tadpole develops hind legs or back legs, and then it develops front legs and develops into a very small froglet or young frog, and later it becomes an adult frog. So frogs have multiple stages in their life cycle, such as egg, tadpole with egg, legs, froglet or young frog, and a mature adult frog. The drastic changes taking place during this development of egg into an adult is termed metamorphosis. Let us move on to the second type of reproduction, that is asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction is a type of reproduction which does not involve the fusion of gametes. The offsprings that arise by asexual reproduction from a single cell or from a multicellular organism inherit the genes of their parent. Hydra is a small freshwater animal. It has a long tubular body. The hydra develops a bud on its tubular body. The bud grows in size and later gets detached from the parent hydra. The newly formed hydra is called daughter hydra. This type of asexual reproduction in which new buds are formed on the animal body is termed budding. Second type of asexual reproduction is binary fission in amoeba. You have studied about the structure of amoeba last year. The nucleus of the amoeba first divides into two. It is followed by the division of a cell into two. Each daughter amoeba or new amoeba receives one nucleus. This process of producing new amoebae by splitting the parent amoeba into two is termed binary fission. Cloning. Cloning is a process of generating a genetically identical copy of a cell or any other body part or a complete organism. I am Wilmot and his colleagues at Roslin Institute, Edinburgh, Scotland, successfully cloned a sheep named Dolly. He took one cell from the mammary gland of female fin dorsal, and he also took one egg cell from the female Scottish blackface, Eve. He removed the nucleus from the female fin dorsal and introduced it into the egg cell of Scottish blackface Eve, from which its nucleus was already removed. Now, the egg cell with the foreign nucleus was implanted into the uterus of Scottish blackface Eve, and this egg underwent normal division and developed into embryo, fetus, and a mature adult sheep was born. This sheep was named Dolly. Dolly was born on July 5th, 1996. Even though Dolly was given birth by Scottish blackface Eve, it did not show any resemblance to Scottish blackface Eve, but it was like fin dorsal Eve. It was identical to fin dorsal Eve because the nucleus was taken from the fin dorsal Eve. Why did it not show any resemblance to Scottish blackface Eve? That is because the nucleus of the egg cell was already removed in the case of Scottish blackface Eve. And Dolly developed certain lung disease and unfortunately died on 14th February 2003. Let us have a review. What is the function of sperm? Where does fertilization take place in fish? Why do female frogs produce hundreds of eggs at a time? What is the difference between frog's egg and hen's egg? Mention some examples of oviparous animals. What is common between budding and binary fission? Try to find out the answers for yourself. Thank you.